the moment we find and we have this connection, in your case with hypnosis, in my case with like spirituality and meditation, it was like, it's here, this is home.
I feel also that whole human experience that we come here to forget, we forget, but then we remember. And this is the key of like, we remember something and it feels like a deeper truth within us. Experiences are the best teachers for us to get to know us better and better and better, and not be kind of like stuck in that one idea of who we think we are.
Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia Podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, and I'm so happy to be recording this episode. This is one of my favorite topics to be discussing on Earth. And basically, I brought someone super special to have this discussion with, Kristina Grguric. Kristina is the founder of Magic Frequency, a space devoted to helping people remember who they truly are at their core, beyond the mind. Through quantum hypnosis, energy work, and meditation circles, she supports spiritually curious individuals in reconnecting with their inner wisdom, activating their gifts, and embodying the deeper purpose and life mission. At the heart of her work is the message that your purpose is not something you find, it's something you remember. So I think I'm already having goosebumps all over the place. I think this conversation needed to happen. Basically, Kristina and I, we connected on Instagram. Kristina listened to some of the podcasts, some of the episodes that we have on the podcast. We resonated. She contacted me. We've been having a couple of chats, and we are very aligned in what we do. We help women, people in general, remember what their purpose is. We do this in different ways, but the work that we do is very related. We started having chats, and the conversation was just, the energy was on point, the conversation was on point, and we decided to take this further and also to invite you guys into this conversation. So I think today is going to be a beautiful debate about purpose. So for all of the women, all of the men in the audience who are super into the spiritual things, who are very curious, open mind, I think we're going to have an amazing episode today. So welcome, Kristina, to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Honestly, this is such an honor, and I'm so excited about our conversation because we really connected on this spiritual and soulful level. So I think this is going to be a message that really wants to be shared with the world as well, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us more about your spiritual journey. Who was Kristina before she became a quantum hypnosis expert? I already have so many questions about quantum hypnosis, but I'm going to keep those for us a little bit later down the line. But tell us more about your spiritual journey, your life journey. I'm curious about your own story.
Yes, thank you so much. I mean, my spiritual journey started actually very, very early. I was quite lucky that my parents were into spirituality back in the 80s. So they already, started digging deeper and asking the bigger questions. And I remember when I was a child, my dad was doing Reiki and I always wanted to learn it. And on my 6th birthday, he then had me initiated in the 1st degree of Reiki. And I remember this moment very clearly when he told me, okay, imagine you are standing in a column of light. That light goes through your crown into your heart, and from your heart, it expands out into your hands. And when you're a 6-year-old child, I remember this moment, I'm having goosebumps. I was like, wow, I can see with my hands. There is light coming out of my hands. And when you're a child, you're having this imagination you can really see. And I remember I would have my eyes closed and just kind of like experience the world with my hands. And I think as a child, this really opens up something different. And I think this really brought me onto the path of understanding the world through energy and frequency. And this was kind of the initiation. So I was lucky that as a child, this initiation already happened. But then when I moved to Germany, when I was 8 years old, there was kind of a new environment. There was kind of like that moment where I had to focus on learning a new language and, school and everything coming up. So I felt like that was maybe the moment when it was still in me, but something else needed to develop. So when I would say 16, 17 years old, those things started to come back. So it was, and I love this, and this is kind of also the core of my work, that remembering part. So that sometimes we have to kind of forget, and it's kind of, I feel also that whole human experience that we come here to forget, we forget, but then we remember. And this is the key of like, we remember something and it feels like a deeper truth within us. So I was very lucky that this initiation was a very deeply energetical one that really also brought me very much on my own path and how I discovered my purpose, how at the beginning I might have even resisted going there because it's scary. It's scary to go against the stream, to do something that you have not really seen people doing around. And staying truthful to yourself despite the outside people and voices, and really staying committed to your path, or start to commit to your path, because conditioning, the mind is very, very strong. So it's also kind of that part of unlearning, like unlearning all the conditioning that we have been kind of trained our whole life. And the mind is so important in this society that we're living in. Just kind of like getting out of the mind and getting into the body, into the intuition and part of that. So that was kind of the beginning side of my spiritual journey, which, I'm very, very glad that I get to live this now on a daily basis.
Yes, and you were so lucky to have, these parents. Well, you chose them
Mm,
very well. Some spiritual schools, they believe that we choose our parents and we choose what we come here to do on earth, and you chose extremely well because you chose
mm,
parents who could initiate you in all of that. And then it's very interesting what you say. We come here, we forget, and then it's a remembering, and that remembering happens through the soul. It doesn't happen through the mind. Actually, when we forget, it's because we are maybe too much in our minds, too much in our ego, too much in our minds. And then this remembering is in the body, in the intuition, in the soul. So did you have a point where you were like doing something else, working on something else, and then you became a quantum hypnosis expert, or you always were on this field of spirituality and hypnosis? What was your journey like?
Well, funny story actually, because also part of that forgetting, when I moved to Germany, I started a career as logistics management. I studied logistics management, so supply chain, something that when I look back at it today, it's like, what was I thinking in this moment? But it all turned out so perfectly, because it's also about that. Like, we have to find that purpose of every situation, of every moment, and we will go a little bit deeper along our conversation. But yeah, I was basically studying logistics management, not really on that spiritual path at all. Yeah, it was in my personal life, but when it come to career, I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of the path that everyone expects you to go. So something will come around. I never really took the time to sit with myself and ask myself the question, what do I actually and really want to do? What are actually my gifts that I can give? It was more like, yeah, okay, let's go with logistics management at that time. But I remember I was doing an internship in Madrid, actually. That was my first experience abroad. And I remember I was sitting in this big office, and it was a good company. The people were amazing. But I remember sitting there and being in the big office without windows. It's 40 degrees outside. It's super warm, but I'm freezing inside because I'm sitting right under the AC. And I'm just thinking to myself, Kristina, is this really the life that you want to live? Do you really want to work for someone who doesn't even know your name and who might even have you replaced in 2 days? Is this really the life that you envision for yourself? So that was kind of the moment of truth for me. And it was also easier because I had a little bit of distance of my normal life in Germany that I kind of already had, step by step, climbing the career ladder and so on and so on, even though that path was not aligned with my deeper truth. And because I had that distance, because I was in Madrid, I was the first time also discovering who I am. It was, I'm in a new experience, in a new environment. How do we actually find ourselves through those new experiences? That's why experiences are the best teachers for us to get to know us better and better and better, and not be kind of like stuck in that one idea of who we think we are, right? And that was the moment when it just clicked for me. But the moment where I discovered hypnosis came actually even before that. I remember I was watching this conference from this quantum hypnosis practitioner. She's called Dolores Cannon. For those who know, she started doing quantum hypnosis or past life regressions back in the 60s, when it was not even, considered something. It was more like, oh, wow, you better not go there. In the 60s, people were very conservative. And she really went into that route and discovered so many beautiful things about the soul. And when I watched this conference of her, it felt like something in me awakened, like remembered. I'm again having goosebumps just remembering this moment. It was a moment of truth. And I was just vibrating higher, and I went to explore what it's about and how can I do this? How can I experience this? I didn't know how to put that into practice. It was just like a moment of something is happening. But I was very much resisting this for, I believe, even 2 years. So it took me time to really be like, oh, wow, this is a completely different path. Requires some strength and some really consistent choices of going something completely different than this pre-made easy path of just, taking a job, climbing that career ladder, etc. And it took me 2 years to have that experience of going to Madrid, finding myself, going on another journey and another adventure, and then being like, yes, this is actually something that I want to do. And then I moved to Madrid I went back to Germany. I finished the studies, but then I decided, yeah, this is the path that I want to be doing. And I moved to Madrid and started exploring this path, did my trainings and gathered experiences. And it was perfect and divine timing because that was in 2018, 2019. I was doing all the trainings and stuff. And then 2020 happened and the world was lying still. And that was the moment of, oh, wow, yes, this is the time where I really get to give. I get to give. Now was the time of training, but now it's also the time of giving back. And everyone was at home, so it was perfect divine timing. And I think we were also in Madrid at the same time.
I was in Madrid. Yes, I would have loved to meet you and hang out with you and do maybe some hypnosis with you. That was amazing. And it's interesting what you say about divine timing, because I think we can sometimes have this belief from our minds and we think it's too late. How am I going to change now? I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s. Why am I going to change now? And I had this thing. I was in my early 30s, literally 30s. And I was like, I've spent 12 years building a career in marketing, a successful career in marketing, being a marketing director. And it doesn't feel like the right time. It's too late. And I had this in my 30s. And we can have this limiting belief in our 30s, in our 40s, in our 50s, in our 60s. It can always be either too early or too late. But what you said, it's very interesting. It was divine timing. It happened when it needed to happen. And I don't think our soul is like, doesn't even care about our age. Time is just a human construct. So it's when you're ready to become that person, you start feeling the nudge. And as you said, it feels true. It's like your whole body, it's like relax. To me, it feels like it's here. Like it's just so obvious that this is the right thing. And it's not from your mind. It's literally from your body. It's like, yeah, it's here. I'm just going to. And then the mind freaks out. It's like, oh my God, no, what does this mean? What am I going to do? La, la, la. I need to train. I'm going to do this. La, la, la. The mind starts to freak out, but your body already knows the truth. And your intuition already knows the truth. And then it's like, okay, how can I move slowly the mind so that this starts making a little bit more sense? How can I train my nervous system to hold this new truth? But we already know in our bodies. The moment we find and we have this connection, in your case with hypnosis, in my case with like spirituality and meditation, it was like, it's here. This is home. It's here.
Absolutely. And just what you also mentioned, it's never too late. There is no such thing as too late. At the moment when we notice that it is time to change, this is exactly the right moment for us to do that step and to ask those questions, to go a little bit deeper, to see like, what can this situation, this moment where I'm feeling this uncomfortable feeling from the inside, invite us to go beyond what we have thought would be possible for us, because we are so versatile. We have so many colors, and it's just about, allowing ourselves to experience that as well, to find ourselves from a deeper truth, and then just have a little bit of fun. Like, what is that excitement calling us to step into. And maybe sometimes it requires us to first look within and to be like, oh, wait a second. The mind is like getting too loud and is again like entering into a loop. And oh my God, we get too deep into that loop. But taking a moment to just stop is so important. And just like acknowledging that wherever we are is perfect and divine. It is. And it's always an invitation for us to be like, okay, what is this moment now inviting me to do? And then just as you notice, like, and then we start stepping into that, let's say, higher version, higher vision, following that higher vision. And then things just start happening, right? Also from what you shared, like this is the divine timing aspect. And we dare to do the first step and then something comes in. And then we dare to do the other step. It's like, wow, it's actually beautiful from up here. And then synchronicities and serendipity comes in. It's just like, wow, okay, giving us that confirmation. I think this is very beautiful.
Absolutely. So, how was in your case? How did you find your purpose? How did you know that it was hypnosis and not, for example, something else like, I don't know, whatever, past life regressions or even Reiki that you had experience with? What made you say, okay, I think it's here, it's hypnosis, quantum hypnosis specifically? What did you feel? What was your path to your own purpose?
So when I started researching that whole quantum hypnosis topic, the first thing that I had in mind is first me experiencing the hypnosis myself to see what is behind, because there was something I didn't really know what it was. I wasn't able to grasp it at this moment that I'm going to be doing quantum hypnosis now. No, it was more like this awakened curiosity. Like I was so curious about what is in our deeper truths, like in our subconscious mind, but also in connection to our higher self. Like, what is this all about? Like, what can my higher self tell me about my own path? So then I did a quantum hypnosis myself. That was like the first path to find out, let's explore, like, what is behind that? And I remember I came in with the question, because for the quantum hypnosis, you prepare a list of questions that you would like to find out about yourself. The method is called QHHT, so the one from Dolores Cannon. And my question was, what is my purpose? And am I supposed to be doing quantum hypnosis? So is quantum hypnosis my purpose? And the answer was, quantum hypnosis is what you're supposed to do, but it is not your purpose. It is just your tool that is getting you towards your purpose, towards living your purpose. Because what it's really about is to help people remember that magic that lies within them. And it was like, whoa, this is so mind-blowing, because it's not the tool. I mean, the tool is that gets us there, but it's that implementation of everything that I've learned and experienced myself through Reiki, through my own spiritual path, through everything that I experienced with quantum hypnosis, with the meditation circles, and so on. Everything that I worked on myself that we then also bring into our work to help remember what is really, really speaking to and from the heart, beyond the mental chatters, beyond the conditioning that is very, very hard. I mean, like swimming against the grain is oftentimes not easy, but it's the most rewarding thing that we can do, because it's like, okay, choose your heart. You want to stay in that job that is not making you happy at all. This is hard. Or going into a direction, into something that is really meaningful to you isn't easy either. It's hard, but it's so rewarding and so fulfilling. And I think this is always the main thing about that. So this is kind of how I discovered that whole purpose path for myself. And it's been developing, this was the first part, and it's just like it grows, and then you work with it, and then you see how it aligns with the people, what comes through them when they start channeling themselves in the hypnosis. So yeah, very, very wonderful journey.
And it's very interesting. First of all, I think your mind would have been, your soul would have been blown when you're like, you ask, shall I be doing this? Is this my life purpose? And it's like, yes, you need to be doing this, but no, it's not your purpose. It's like, what? Why? Can you just tell me yes or no, and I'll do it? It's like, yes.
Literally, the answer was like, yeah, you're supposed to be doing quantum hypnosis, but this will just bring you closer to. And I'm like, okay, so what is my purpose? But it's like that a continuing journey of like discovering the purpose, because it's not just one simple thing, like,
Mm.
okay, this is now the purpose, but life changes. We ourselves go through life transitions, and every time we go into a new life transition, there's a new part of our purpose that gets to be expressed. So,
Absolutely. And it's interesting what you say that sometimes there can be a little distance between what we do and our actual purpose. Sometimes we will tend to identify, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is my life purpose, and we can put it all in like one single box where it's all intertwined, who we are, what we do, and our purpose. And sometimes there can be some nuance in that. We're not what we do, and maybe what we do is not necessarily our purpose, or maybe what we do is actually contributing to our purpose. But there can be some nuances in all of that. I think in my case, I try to also define, okay, what do I do? What do I bring to the table? And also, what is my purpose and which words do I put into this? Now I've defined it as life purpose coach, but it's kind of for lack of a better word, because I don't think the word and what I do is actually, we don't have the words for that just yet. At
yeah.
least in this 3D plane, there's not a word for what I actually do. And the best words that I found were these ones.
Or it requires a lot of words, a lot of explanation. It's an energy. Like you have to transmit the vibe. You have to use a lot of words.
I need a paragraph, like I can do with just 10 words. So,
For
yeah.
sure, for sure. Yeah.
So would you say that your own purpose is to help people remember who they are? Would you define your purpose in those terms?
I think this is the closest, because for me it was very similar to what you just expressed. Like it's like the whole thing of experiences, but I think this is now really the closest that I can get to really describing what my purpose is. So whether it's through hypnosis, whether it's through conversations, whether it's difficult conversations, whether it's through just me walking across the beach, whatever it is, in every life situation invites us to kind of embody that deeper purpose, that deeper meaning. And oftentimes, what I also see, or what I've experienced in my hypnosis sessions, that people say it's not necessarily a job title, photographer. This is not the purpose. The purpose is like capturing the essence of the beauty. So it's kind of like, whether it's through the lens of a camera, whether it's just with your eyes, or just like having a moment, like having a mental picture, saving it in our hearts, like seeing the beauty in imperfection. This is very much all connected to purpose, where it's not just that title that we give ourselves, but more that whole process of what is behind. What did we come here to give? How did we come to serve from a full cup, in a way?
Absolutely. And I'm also thinking, every time you go to like a social gathering, whether that's like a party, dinner, whatever, and people ask you, so what do you do? And
Yes.
it's like, oh my God. Do you have
How much time you have?
Well, I'm actually raising the vibration of humanity.
Yes.
I'm actually doing this through, I imagine in your case, quantum hypnosis. And then people's like, what? What is quantum hypnosis? And it's like, you need at least 10 minutes to explain what you do.
Very
Right?
true.
Like, I'm a life purpose coach, I have business, la la la. And it's like, I need at least 10 minutes to explain what I actually do. And it might not be even that clear to people.
I know, and it always changes depending on where the person is themselves. Like where is that resonance, that connecting part, to really convey the message of the depth of what we're doing? Because it's not as easy as, oh, I'm a photographer, I'm doing marketing, I'm doing this. I'm a lawyer, exactly.
Well, in my case, before it was a little bit easier because it was like, I'm a marketing director at a winery. And now it's like, I'm a life purpose coach, business owner. And it's like, people are like, what is life purpose? Like, what kind of business you have? What do you do again?
I mean, this also invites a deeper conversation. This is what I like, because it's not just that, I'm a lawyer, I'm doing this. It's like inviting a deeper conversation. And then it's also like that resonance to see where the people are, like how deep do you want to go, and what depth of conversation can we actually find through
Yes.
also that other person's work. Okay, like tell me more about it, because you are not your job title, you are that essence that is behind it. So tell me about that essence of like, who are you? Who are you beyond your name and the job title?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm remembering now as we speak, once I met at a party. I met a guy. He then became a very, very good friend, one of my closest friends in Madrid. And we met, and I asked him, like, he was like all smiley and dancing, and I was like, so who are you? First question that I ever asked him. And he was
Wow.
like, I'm a fractal of infinity in a human body doing blah, blah, blah. I can't remember the rest. And I was like, we're going to be friends. One phrase.
There you know. There you
I'm like,
know.
oh, we're going to be friends. And we're extremely, extremely good friends right now. He's very, very,
Wow.
very, very spiritual, very advanced in his spiritual journey.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
let's dive a little bit more into life purpose. How
Mm.
would you define it? I mean, if it's not necessarily something we do, how would you define life purpose?
Well, we're talking a lot about the soul aspect, right? And I really feel it has a lot to do with the unique way of how our soul expresses itself in its own unique way. Because soul is basically that individual expression of source, right? So every person, every living being on this planet is unique. How can we bring our uniqueness, our own energy, our presence, our abilities, things that really, really excite us into a life experience together? So I think it's purpose can be found in every life area. So what is our truth, and really diving into that part of ourselves is also kind of that part of that remembering of what is my essence, what am I here to give, when can I give from a full cup, and what activities, what situations make me just lose track of time and space. This is also how we know which direction that purpose question is going, because I feel it has a lot to do with that deeper meaning. So when we're doing something, that it has a meaning because we know why we're doing it. So I think it all starts with aligning with our truth, with our essence, like giving ourselves the space and time to dive into those big questions. And it can express itself primarily through our work, through our career, but it's also in every life area, like in our in our connections with family, in relationship, in how we create our environment, our home. How can we live or apply everything that we have learned through the milestones of our lives? So, what is kind of like the essence of what we have learned in each life situation that we can now apply and make it into a purpose, make it into a deeper guidance? Because basically, I feel purpose is that North Star. I always love to see like purpose is our North Star, and we are like the heart is the compass guiding us, navigating. Oh, sometimes it's like it's stormy out there, but it doesn't matter because we know where we're going. And sometimes, okay, the ship goes into another direction. We're feeling lost. We're not feeling aligned. Like something is off because life goes up and down. This is normal. It's like cycles. Everything goes in cycles. And when we have a moment where we're feeling low or something is not going, when we have that, when we know what our purpose, what our higher mission is, it makes it easier. It makes even those hard moments when we are feeling lost or uncertain easier to navigate, because it's okay. We just got to give ourselves grace. We got to give ourselves, time, and then allow everything else to fall into place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really love what you said about how can we give from a full cup? Because it's not
Yeah.
easy. First, we need to be happy ourselves, feel abundant ourselves, feel at peace ourselves, feel full of joy and love, and recognize our own talents. And then
Yes.
from that space, we can actually give to other people. And that was definitely my own experience. First, I think I had a period when I was still working in marketing. I was feeling so depleted, so far away from my spirituality I see now. And there was a
Mm.
period where I really needed to fill my own cup with a lot of
Mhm.
peace, with a lot of self love, with a lot of joy. And then I think once the cup was full, I was like, okay, now I want to help other women feel as happy as I feel now, because I'm
Yeah.
sure there's other women who are not feeling this way. And now that I have so much on this cup, I can actually help other women feel better about themselves, their lives, their careers, etc. But it was by first filling my own cup that then I was like, okay, What about others now? Now that this one's full and abundant, what about others?
This is so beautiful, and this is also such an essence of like those life cycles that we talked about, because it's pressure. It's like when pressure is being applied, it's normal to feel pressure in our lives, but what do we do with that pressure? Like it can either crush us or it can actually form us into this beautiful diamond that we are, to then be to expand and be like, okay, how can I now give? And this is such an important aspect that you mentioned of like, I first got to fill my own cup. Like when we're not in that balanced state where we can feel our own truth, when we can hear what's really speaking through us, then it's a moment to just pause and just be with ourselves, like really take care of ourselves, because I feel this is also the essence of self-love. Can we love ourselves also in the difficult moments? Can we be there for ourselves and not apply additional pressure of like, oh, you have to have it all figured out? No, it's a moment of just being graceful with ourselves, to then allow it to naturally come, because it's already within us. Feel purpose is not something we necessarily find, it's something also we remember, something that already lies, the keys already lie within us. All the resources that we need to live our purpose, we already have and carry within us. But it's just that space that we need to create for ourselves to let it come through. So I love your own story that really shows how through your own experience you were then able to give it to the world. And I think this is always the most magical way.
And I think also depending on the life situation that we were born into, that we chose, sometimes we just need to literally empty the cup first. We need to empty the cup first, clean the cup, and then we fill it up again with pure water. But depending on the life that we had, and we, of course, we have very different life experiences and different trauma with big T, small t, different life experiences that might actually come and cloud, what's in there in our cup, and we need to clean the cup and start sometimes all over again with pure water, so that then we can also pour that into other people.
I love that analogy, like emptying your cup. What does this actually mean? It's like unlearning. We got to unlearn what we thought was real, like what through that whole conditioning and like our own mind that has been telling us what is truth, and our old beliefs that we picked up from our parents, from society, from the people around us, what we assumed to be truth, but actually was just a belief. I love to do that with myself when I speak, and I catch myself where I'm saying an old belief. I'll just stop and be like, this is a belief. This is a belief. And this is how I call out myself, where I'm like, okay, this is something that I've actually heard millions of times when I was a child, but it's actually not true. It's not true. And I can actually find proof that it is not true. So it's that unlearning, relearning.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there can be in that unlearning, unlearning trauma, unlearning limiting beliefs, unlearning unworthiness, because we were always worthy of love, of success, of abundance, of peace, of connection. We were always worthy. And sometimes we, as you said, we come here, we forget that we were always worthy. And then it's like, okay, how do I remember all of these? The part of us that is unlimited, worthy just because we're alive, breathing, and we don't need to prove anything. We don't need to do anything to deserve anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's inherently within us. And we got to remind ourselves, and this is also what requires us to be unapologetically truthful with ourselves. Like, can we ask ourselves those big questions? Because this is where it all starts. This is where that digging starts, to see like, what do I actually believe? Where am I still standing in my own way? What is also kind of controlling me from the past and not allowing me to move forward? But I also love that energy of curiosity. I feel that playfulness, like we can learn a lot from children, of their curiosity, their playfulness of going through life. And they are learning how to be humans, they're learning how this life works. And if we in our adult life, adult stages, take a moment and just like adopt that curiosity for life itself and question and why and why and why, I feel like this is also that part of that unconditioning and learning that we just mentioned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like at some point in life, maybe in our 30s, 40s, we get way too serious, way too adult, and life
Mm.
just becomes so boring, so full of responsibilities. And there's sometimes zero space for play, for pleasure, for curiosity, for doing things that not necessarily make sense, doing things just because they feel fun and just because we want to, for example, know everything about this certain topic, or we just want to try this one thing with our hands or whatever it might be. And yeah, at some point we get too serious. So how can we bring, and I think sometimes we talk a lot about, bringing the inner child, but aren't we all still trying to figure out life? Even in our 40s, in our 50s, in our 60s, we're still trying to figure this out. Like 60, 70, 80, 90 is nothing in comparison to maybe how long our soul is going to be there, how long, the universe is going to be there before we were in this planet and after we're going to be in this planet. What is 60 years? It's nothing. So we're still trying to
Absolutely.
figure things out. Why did we get so serious about it?
Yes, 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 yes. And it's the more we learn, the more we know that we know nothing actually. It's like it's that type of not being so certain and this is how it is, and this is how I've been my whole life, and this is who I am. No, but when we put ourselves in new situations and new experiences, each time we discover new things about ourselves. And you're right. Like when I also observe people who are very close to me, who I love with my whole heart, how they live their whole life, like 50 years pass and nothing has ever changed. And it's that seriousness that you mentioned that gets us very comfortable in that, comfortable in the discomfort oftentimes. And I really feel that getting out of that comfort zone more and more is key to that. But the energy that is behind that is that curiosity and that playfulness that we just mentioned, because then the discomfort is getting out of the comfort zone is not so uncomfortable anymore. It's more like, wow, it gets to be an adventure, We're just like having this human experience. What did our soul choose to experience in this lifetime? And what can we actually do with our time that we have here? It's a limited time. It's a gift. So
Absolutely.
so powerful.
So we've talked about curiosity, we've talked about exploration. Which advice would you give to a woman who's listening to this episode and she's absolutely lost, probably still in her corporate job, like in your
Mm.
logistics job or in my marketing director job? And
Mm.
she's like, I know it's not this, something is off, but I can't put into words what it could actually be. What else could I do? So, what advice would you give to a woman who's trying to find her purpose and she's still in that lost stage?
Such an important question. I think the first thing is just to have that moment of presence, taking a deep breath, and fully acknowledging where we are. Because when we find ourselves, when we get to that understanding that this is not it, this is such an important realization that we can have of, okay, we're ready for something new. And I think this is always the key of just acknowledging where we are and not trying to fight it. Like, oh my God, it's uncomfortable. Right now, it requires my full presence to just be here to allow other doors to open. And for this, I get to create that space for myself to really see and listen to my heart speaking. What is it actually that I so enjoy doing? What could that next step be? And oftentimes it could be something as simple as having a uncomfortable conversation, something where we really speak from the depths with a specific person that can already change everything, change maybe the dynamic, or if it's something that really requires small steps of how can we follow our highest excitement. I think there's a lot of power in that present moment of acknowledging where we are, and when we get to that realization that this is not what I want for my life, this is usually the time it starts shifting. Because again, we were talking about the cycles. So there's a cycle that is currently coming to an end. And this is scary. We get to acknowledge that moment that it's scary, that yes, we are ready for change, but change is scary. Okay? So this this is good. We have to be truthful with ourselves that we are, on the one hand, ready for the change, but that also creating that presence to really sit with the emotions, to let them flow through. Because when we create that space for everything to flow through, we're not suppressing it, we're allowing it to pass. Like a river, in this moment, I'm feeling lost, but if I sit with it, in an hour or two, I will feel completely different. I will then be able to be in a curious state, to be in a kind of excitement. What is out there? The world is full of possibilities, full of opportunities. And it all starts with the energy that we embody in those moments. So being very, very truthful is the first and foremost step, I believe. And then from there, taking it one step at a time, one step into the direction that feels aligned. And I feel this is also where your work is super important because you're supporting people throughout that whole process,
Mm.
specifically on that career path, right? Of really tapping into the decision making and that implementation of it. For me, it's really that, okay, what is your magic frequency? Like, what is it that you came here to do? What did your soul choose prior to coming here? So it's that kind of like that broader perspective to see beyond just this lifetime, me as Kristina, and this is, you know, everything that happened to me, but from a broader perspective, my soul is on a journey. And what did my soul chose to do during this time? And I think those are deeper, really deep questions where careers change. Careers change, and change is good. Change is a constant that we have in life, and embracing that feeling of where we are.
Absolutely. This is amazing. I think in each and every one of your words, it's like pure gold.
Hmm.
And I think women will take a lot of this conversation. And as you said,
Hmm.
acknowledging the fact that we're lost, that's okay. We're ready for change. And also, you're not alone. There's people who can support you. You
Yes.
can get a reading with Kristina. You can do a coaching process with me. We're here to support you. I had to do
Hmm.
this whole process on my own. Uh, I was lost for 2-3 years
Hmm.
trying to figure out. I tried literally everything under the sun. I tried Akashic records. I tried hypnosis. I tried astrology. I even tried ayahuasca just to try to get some information about my soul. I wish I would have known you before. So I would have
Would have been
definitely
a fun
done
exploration.
a quantum hypnosis with you. It would have been useful. I was so thirsty for information. Who am I beyond all of this
Mhm.
conditioning?
Mm,
Beyond
mm,
being Mercedes in her 30s, living at that moment in Madrid, who chose a marketing career. Who am I actually? And I think that's why my process was a little bit long. First of all, because I didn't find at that time a life purpose coach who could support me. And that's why
mhm,
I decided to provide this service, because it is so needed to do it with someone who can walk you through and support you in that exploration process. But it took me a lot of time because I wasn't just asking, okay, I don't like this job anymore. What other job can I do? The depth of my question was extremely huge. It was, who am I actually? What is my soul like? And how can I
mhm,
actually put this soul into service for other people? The question was so deep. It took me 2 or 3 years to actually find the answer.
mhm,
And
mhm,
then, as you said, it was like taking steps. I was like, okay, it looks like it's this coaching thing that had been in the back of my mind for already 4 years, but it wasn't the right time to do it. But it was there. It was like it was always there. And if I actually
mhm,
trace back, I've always, since I was, I would say, a child who could read, I was always interested in psychology, self development. I've always been so thirsty about just knowing everything about first the human mind. And then when I discovered like spirituality and the soul, I was like, wow, I just want to know everything. And now my latest obsession is the subconscious mind, because I think if we can actually tap into that, we can create real, quick, long lasting, quick in the moment when we get the effect, but very long lasting change. So now that's like my latest obsession, but it's always been there. So if I was in that place again and I would be lost again, I'd be like, which were the topics that were always there. Things that I've always been curious about, and I've
Mm.
maybe
Mhm.
haven't explored, or maybe I think they're supposed to be just a hobby, because how am I going to monetize something that I actually love? You can monetize literally everything. And if you think you can, that's a limiting belief. You come and talk to me. But you can monetize literally everything. So
Yeah.
I think, but I love what you say about just acknowledging, not try to bypass the discomfort of being lost. I think also when we're lost is this opportunity that everything is possible. I could be anything. I could do anything. And then maybe you choose something, and then your possibilities are down to that one thing or several things, depending on how you define your purpose and how you structure what you're going to do. But it's like you're niching down again. But when you're in that lost stage, there's a lot of discomfort because we want certainty as humans. We want control. The mind needs to think that it actually controls something. We don't control anything, but we like
Mhm.
to feel some sort of control. And when we're like, okay, I'm lost, I don't know what to do, there's discomfort, but there's also possibility. You could be and do anything that you want. You could redefine
Absolutely.
yourself a million times in a million different ways.
And this is so beautiful. I love that. And I actually use this in my work on tapping into different timelines. Like, how could your life look like if you were to choose this one life, this one path? Like, how excited can you get about choosing this one path, and how aligned is it on the long run with your soul? And you mentioned this being thirsty for knowledge, like being really so excited about learning something new and filling our own cup. It again comes down to that. And I love that the exploration can go so deep and for everyone in individual directions. And this is again where we remember what is actually what has always been there. It has always been there. Maybe underlying, maybe dormant, then it woke up, and then we had those amazing conversation with people. This is also a good sign for us to know, like, what are the things that we're looking for in common with other people? What can we be talking about for hours and hours and hours? This is where we get to explore a little bit more, because also connected to the part of connecting with people, it's like, yeah, when we talk about that, we express those ideas, they get to ripen, they get to be spoken into existence. And when we surround ourselves with the people who can actually help us get there, who have similar experiences or who had experience that we can learn from, is very, very valuable. So yeah, this is something that also fills a lot our cup, and there
Mhm.
can be obviously many, many ways on exploring that.
Absolutely. And I think there's a nuance that is worth doing at this point, and it's that in those early stages, we will not be able to articulate with words what we actually want to do. And even further down the line, we might not even be able to articulate. We get better, we get closer, but there is something that will be there. It's like a knowing, an intuition, a ping that it's like, go to that activity, talk to that person, go to that course. So just
Yes.
follow that little ping, follow that one, and then you follow the next one, and then you follow the next one. And then eventually you will be able to put it into words and articulate, okay, I think it's around this topic. And then you go into that topic, and then you can be like, okay, I think within this topic, I could do something like this or something like this. And then you start little by little putting into words and articulating with your mind what your soul, your heart has been feeling and pushing you very, very, very gently. And maybe you realize it's always been there. And in my case, as you were speaking, I got this weird memory of like my childhood years. I must have been 3 or 4, and I was in bed, like imagine like a regular Saturday. And I was just like stretching, but my stretches were literally yoga poses, like child's pose, or I was doing like the candle pose. And those were like my stretches. So it's like
Mhm.
a part of me already knew all of these poses. A part of me had been doing yoga in a previous lifetime. And this was just a way for me to feel very comfortable, but it was like the exact yoga poses. And I was three
Um,
or four. I had never taken yoga at that point. And then I was like, so this thing that I've been doing my whole life, this had a name actually.
Oh,
So
wow.
maybe it's always been there. And we just need to, like you say, we just need to remember.
It's a deeper wisdom that we also tap into. We should never underestimate the power of our intuition and our guidance. Just what you mentioned as well, just like a little sparks. There is something, there's this one event that has been kind of calling our attention. Let's actually go and explore
Mm.
because we are guided. Like on the other side, that non visible side, the ether side, we have our whole spirit guide placing all the puzzle pieces on our path and kind of like showing what we do with them. And
Mm.
of course, through our free will, we have the choice to take it or not take it. But ultimately, we cannot miss on that deeper purpose. Like, we can ignore it, but it gets to be a free choice to follow that and never to underestimate that those powers, the energy that is also always working in our favor of putting some synchronicities on our path. And there's this person that we meet in the key person, what you mentioned also with your best friend, how you connected. There is so much beauty along the way when we do follow that path of our highest excitement.
Mm.
And really asking for guidance. This is something that I've been practicing lately a lot of asking for the guidance and just tapping into our intuition to tell us which way to go. It will always reveal itself.
Mm.
Sometimes we got to sit with that question for some time, but then, like each day, it gets clearer and clearer.
Yes,
So, very,
absolutely.
very beautiful.
And I think it's interesting, because we can have inner guidance or also like this outer guidance from our spirit angels, universe, whatever we wish to call it. And I think a huge part of going in the direction of your purpose is to really, really develop your intuition. And this can be developed simply by just meditation, hypnosis,
Mhm.
all of these different modalities that help you silence all the external noise and really tap into your soul. And I think we all have this power. We're all intuitive, but it's just that we get this layer of conditioning and we learn I cannot trust my intuition. But when
Mhm.
we take that layer away and we actually develop our intuition and we can start with very small things like, okay, what do I want to eat right now? What does my body, not my mind, not what I have on the fridge, but what does my body actually want right now? And it's, for example, meat. And then maybe you think about it and maybe your body was actually lacking something that meat is, it's going to provide, whatever it might be. So we can start developing intuition with small things. And then it can be like, okay, shall I go to this event? Yes, no. And it's like, then you go to the event. Shall I do this course or another course? You do this one. And that can be like your own inner guidance or your own intuition guiding you. And I do firmly believe that every time that we make a decision from that pure intuitive place, and it's not always easy to differentiate your intuition and your fears, we also need to get good at differentiating if it's your actual soul or if it's your mind. But if you actually follow the pings, the intuitive pings from your soul, I believe you will always make the right decision, what is right for you. And then there's also the external guidance from our angels, our spirit guides, universe, whatever you call it. And yesterday I had actually a very funny story. I always see angel numbers 1111, 1111. When I decided that I wanted to create this business, become a coach, I started seeing 1111, 1111, which is the master number of manifestation. I was like, okay, amazing. Looks like we're going this direction. Nonstop for years until I actually did what I wanted to do. And now, just to share a quick contemporary story, I'm actually going to invest in a coach, and it's a very big investment in terms of budget, in terms of time. It's a long container, and it's a very, very important budget, like 5,000 euros, which for me, at my level of money mindset at this point, it does sound like a lot of money. For some people, that might not be a lot of money. For me, it is a lot of money. And I've been this whole week debating, shall I do it? Shall I not? And my intuition is saying, yes, go do it. It's the person, it's the coach, go for it. So my intuition is saying yes. Then my mind was kind of like freaking out. Is this the best use of this money? We could do something else, blah, blah, blah. And then yesterday, but my inner guidance is saying, yes, go do it. This is the right investment at this particular time. And yesterday I was walking through the streets and I saw on the street a pack of like old cigarettes that said Ego and Baby. Apparently it's a brand. I didn't even know that this was a brand of cigarettes, but that's basically my dad passed away. And that's basically the way he used to call me. So it's like
Oh,
catching my attention. It's like Ego. And I'm like, okay, hi, dad. And then 2 seconds later, I see the car that this coach has. And it's a car that I don't see often in Paris. And it was like, hey, Ego, look at this car. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do it. My inner
wow.
guidance is saying yes. And then this outer guidance, it's like, yes, come on, do it. So
Confirming.
confirmations, absolutely, absolutely. So if we can be, ask, develop our inner guidance first, because this is what's going to be the most important. Your body knows, your soul knows, your intuition knows. Then your mind will try to make you question things, but you already know on one side. And then on the other side, if you want to ask for signs and you're open for those signs and you can actually get quite good at reading them, it might be numbers, it might be feathers, it might be butterflies, it might be rainbows, it might be the car of the person that you're thinking about working with, whatever it might be. It might be
Yes.
the word that you had with the loved one who passed away, whatever form that might take. And you can actually get good at asking for signs and reading the signs. Life gets very interesting.
So true, so true. Oh, this is beautiful. I'm really happy for you. And it's like a muscle. Like intuition is a muscle that we gotta use so that it gets better and better and better. And asking ourselves, just like you mentioned, asking ourselves throughout the day many times, like, what do I need? Or one that I really love is this for my highest good? And it's just, it's a feeling from the inside. There are many ways on how we can practice or strengthen our intuition, like kinesiologic testing. For example, what I do that is very, very aligned with me. Like it just, I know. I know. It's a knowing. There's no questioning anymore. And the mind is, I can sometimes feel the resistance when I receive the answer. And it's like, I knew it, but I had to ask, is that sway test. So I would sit and I would connect myself to my soul, to my guidance, to the earth, to the universe, and so forth. And I would ask questions like, please, soul, show me a yes. And then I would sway usually to the right side. And then when I sit closely, sit centered, and I ask, show me a no, from it's usually I sway to the left.
Mm.
And this is how I have developed also that yes, no, like intuition testing to feel within myself whether it's a yes or whether it's a no. Because oftentimes, we try to force something and then it's simply not really going. But other times, it is so effortless. It is like a gift that is being presented to us. And we just have to do that small effort of accepting and receiving it. And this is oftentimes how we know, like when it's so effortless, like this is
It was
the
meant to
way
be.
to go. It was meant to be. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. You have a very high, pure energy. The moment we spoke last time, I was like,
Mm.
wow, I really love her energy. Do you have any rituals? Do you have any things that you do to raise your frequency, to have like energetic hygiene, so to say?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I received that and I can really give that back. I mean, you are just a ray of sunshine.
Thank you.
It is so many beautiful things that come to my mind right now. And it's definitely that energy hygiene of being also aware of all of our sides. I think the more we integrate of where we are on our personal healing journey, because it's about being truthful and not being, knowing who we are. It's about embodying that essence of ourselves in all its colors, in all its colors. So it's about being truthful, not being holy. And when it comes to sitting with myself, I am a very strong believer in quality time. I love to create smaller rituals every day throughout the day, whether it's just by myself of lighting a candle and sitting in front of it, meditating or singing or just dancing in my living room, of going by myself to the beach or taking myself out for a walk. those moments where I create intentional space for being with myself of wherever I am, this is where I feel I can integrate this in a better way, because I can feel where I am. I can see what this current situation is here to teach me, to show me about myself, so that I then get to apply it. Yeah, meditation has been such a powerful tool for me to really accept myself the way I am. Then from there, being able to share this with the world in all its beautiful ways. So this has definitely been one. And then the quality time that we also get to share with the people, for example, our beautiful conversation. This is so nurturing that every moment gets to be experienced presently, really deeply, of wherever we are. Everything is good and perfect and happening for our highest good. We really have to internalize this. Whatever we're currently going through, wherever we are, we gotta accept ourselves where we are, because this is where healing happens. This is where our biggest jumps happen. And then from there, we take it with ease. With ease. It's that joyfulness that we can, that playfulness, the childlike energy that we get to bring into the world, because it's not serious. It's not serious. And also those hard moments get to be, I was going also through a rough patch the past year. So I got to a moment where I was just seeing that sweetness of this healing journey, that sweetness of the pain, the sweetness of the discomfort. It's like, it's uncomfortable, but I'm here for myself. And that relationship that I build with myself is something that we also then get to shine out into the world. And this is the essence of ourselves. Like, I'm being truthful with myself, then we also get to be truthful with the world around us.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
Mm.
And I just want to stay here for 1 second.
Oh, yes. So beautiful.
So, what about quantum hypnosis? Because I'm really curious. I've done hypnosis in the past. Actually, this morning I did a hypnosis, not quantum hypnosis, just hypnosis. It was a very profound one. But what is quantum hypnosis for a person who has never heard about this? What's the difference with regular hypnosis?
Well, the word quantum, if we just look at the word quantum, what it means, it gives us a little bit better understanding of why quantum hypnosis is what it is. So it's about that being in that space where we're timeless and spaceless. So from there, we can go into having a look at our childhood, at our past life, at a future vision, at a parallel situation that is happening, exploring different timelines, connecting to all of those parts while we see our soul as timeless. So we're kind of like looking at it from a higher perspective, looking at our life to understand it from a higher perspective, and then to be like, this had to happen to push me to where I am right now. Okay, I understand it now. So it's a much deeper process of going within and kind of channeling ourselves than usual hypnosis would be. For example, clinical hypnosis focuses more on, let's say, symptoms like stopping to smoke, losing weight. But quantum hypnosis is like, yeah, but why? Why did you start smoking in the first place? Like, let's go to the root of why, what it is that you wanted to compensate and why it became a habit throughout the time. So when we understand what is behind that, it's so much easier to let go, because there is no need to fill that void anymore. We can live life that is really and truly in alignment with our soul through the guidance of our higher self. So basically, how you can imagine or visualize, or what I like to use to explain quantum hypnosis, is we are basically walking through the labyrinth of your subconscious mind. Your higher self is holding the lantern as we're walking through the labyrinth, and we're knocking on the doors to see what is behind the door. Because as a preparation, people would prepare a list of questions that they would like to get more clarity on, to understand themselves better and to be able to navigate their life better. So we go knocking on the door and see which doors open. And the doors that open, we go through them, and then we see what is behind that. So we're going layer upon layer upon layer until we get to that beautiful, magnificent, magnetic core of who you truly are. It's that essence, that uniqueness, that blueprint that everyone holds. because everyone is so unique. And this is what fascinates me so much, that every human being carries their own unique essence. And we want to get to that beautiful essence where oftentimes people would just start laughing during the session because they understand something deeper within themselves that they didn't see in the wake state. So they're basically, you're kind of, you can, because there's a lot of misunderstanding how hypnosis works, how it feels like. It's not that, the person snaps with their fingers and you're out there. It's kind of like that conscious mind, or that monkey mind, let's say, is getting into the back seat, let's say, and allowing your higher self to speak through. So your mind, your consciousness is still aware of everything that is coming through, but you allow this other higher part of yourself, your soul, to speak through you, and you at the same time hear and see and listen and perceive everything that is going on. So that's why people would oftentimes start or crying or laughing, because they understand something deeper that either needs liberation or understanding or healing or guidance, whatever it is. So that's the magic of it, because we're seeing it from a higher perspective where people are like, I understand. I understand from a deeper perspective, not just that theoretical, oh, yeah, I know I should be doing that, or I know that this is the lesson for me, but really that integration part of like, okay, I see why love or self-love is so important for me. So this is then the embodiment of the energy, of the frequency that quantum hypnosis is about. And all of this just with the beautiful guidance of our higher self, or whatever comes through in this moment. And it is a very rewarding work. I love to have a conversation with people on that soul level. It is so different, when you have that introductory talk before you get into hypnosis, and then we close our eyes, we put our attention and focus inwards. It is a whole different level of communication that you have. And it is so valuable. It's also something that I do with my friends oftentimes. We would sit together, we would close our eyes and have a normal conversation just with our eyes closed. It is so deep and so profound that just allows other parts to come through. So having that guidance, because I'm like the detective, like going with you with the lantern through your subconscious mind, like, what is here? Let's go there. Like, which doors open? The ones that don't want to open, we maintain them closed. We're not gonna be hammering in the door, because this is then we automatically start to wake up. This is not the way that we want to go. We'll be like, okay, let's try this other route, this other path, to see if the door will open from that other side. And if it opens, beautiful. There's even a deeper message or a deeper layer that needed to be uncovered for us to see where we were standing in our own way and what needed to be liberated. So,
so interesting. So interesting. And out of curiosity, how long does this last? Is it like a 1 hour hypnosis? How long does it last?
So it depends on what the person is currently working on, whether it's just like, immediate remembrance, that, let's say, that initiation of understanding what is your magic frequency, how this information comes through, you have immediate questions. Then there's this one session that is going deep. It's a 5-hour session. So it sounds a lot. It might be a lot, but honestly, once we're in there, the time just flies. The session itself, like the hypnosis part, is just the 2 hours of it. But the whole process of it is very intense and very beautiful and very transforming in itself. But when it comes to when people are currently working on some big life transitions, like something is happening in their life, they don't really know how to navigate it, then it requires a couple of sessions more to really like get also that integration in, and really having that support of taking a decision that is aligned with themselves. A decision where they truly are being aligned with their values, with what they stand behind, and not just operating from fear response or survival response, because this oftentimes we take decisions from there. So this is more like let's go a little bit deeper into that. And when it comes to really, really working with that deeper purpose question, how can we apply that? Then this is more like a 3-month coaching or guidance where, okay, we go deeper each time to experience your frequency and how you can actually apply that in your life.
Amazing. So beautiful. I can imagine this modality providing really, really deep transformations and a lot of wisdom on our soul so that then we can be like, okay, this is the compass, this is the blueprint. Let me make decisions that are aligned with this information that I know.
Right, because we have all the resources within us, like we have it already here. It's here, but like how can we bring that to the light? And I think you also do that with your beautiful work as well, because we're working with something that the person already has. It's just like oftentimes we need a little bit of guidance, a little bit of support to allow those things to come up.
Absolutely. And this is kind of a different question, but I'm really curious about your perspective on this. What is your current vision of humanity from a spiritual point of view? Where are we? Where are we heading? How do you see or perceive this?
Oof, this is such a deep and good question, honestly. Wow. So many perspectives to go about that, because I really believe that we are currently at a very important threshold as humanity, where we know that something needs to change, and it is already naturally changing, because currently we see that the system is starting to change. Like the growth is simply too exponential. Like, where are we heading as humanity? And I feel like this time is really, really inviting us to stop for a moment and to reevaluate the life that we want to be living and building. So I feel like right now it invites us to be very connected to our purpose, to really start asking the big questions and connect with each other, between each other, so that we kind of start building our own system. Because when the system that we're currently living in starts to change or crumble or whatever, that we already have a solid foundation. And I truly believe that it will be in our generation, in our lifetime, where something will shift that is currently inviting us to make a decision. So there's this threshold between, everything going on in the world, then AI being more and more important in our life. So what do we do with that? How can we use that as an opportunity for growth and self-empowerment to really step into sovereignty that is not dependent on the outside system, but that we as humans can again connect on a heart level to be our own system, our own resources. And yeah, I feel like the direction that we're heading is inviting everyone to ask those big questions. And it all comes down to the energy that we're holding, because it's, the collective energy. When we look at it, okay, the energy that each one is holding is adding up to this bigger collective field that is also in resonance with what's happening on planet Earth. Because planet Earth, I think it all starts with her, is that she is changing, she is transforming, she is also raising her vibration. We can see it in the Schumann resonance. It's just a reflection on what's currently going on in the chaos that we're seeing in the world. And it might get louder, but it has to change in a way. And again, this is inviting us more into that sovereign aligned situation. How do you see it? I'm very curious.
I feel like I agree with you. I feel like we're now at a crossroads, and I feel like there's a battle between light and darkness. And there is so much darkness. If we open our eyes, there's so much darkness with wars, with crazy people in politics doing horrible things, with corruption. There's a lot of darkness if we open our eyes. But there's also a lot of light if we open our eyes. There's more and more people who are entering into spirituality, into meditation, into all of these fields, who are asking the deep questions, who are shedding light around them. And I do believe that if we are able to shine really, really bright light, we can actually change these things. But it's going to require a lot of strength, because I feel like there's also a lot of strength on the other side. But I feel that we're in a point where we're actually, depending on which one will win, like light or darkness, we're actually playing with the survival of the species. I feel like if we continue in the path of darkness and wars and just extracting from nature, we're actually playing with our survival. So to me, the challenge is, can we raise the vibration of humanity enough to pass this test collectively? I feel like it's a collective test, and it's a test at a humanity level. It's a test at a planet level. Nations don't matter, religions don't matter. All of these kind of things that we love to invent and to create differentiation between us, they don't really matter. So we're all either raising the vibration or lowering the vibration of the planet. And depending on the level that we can achieve collectively, as you said, we're all contributing to that like collective energy score, I would say. We're either going to pass the test or not. So we're going to see.
Very true. I couldn't agree more. You brought it to the point. Yes. Beautiful.
Absolutely. I feel like I could stay in this conversation forever, speaking
Same.
about those moments when life and space just get, blurred and they're long and short at the same time. But I'm going to slowly start wrapping up this episode in spite of my preference to continue it.
True. I also could have continued now with that last part of like, but I was like, yeah, it was perfect and divine.
I love finishing the episodes with 3 rapid fire questions. And the first answer that comes to mind, intuitive, would be absolutely perfect. So, are you ready?
Perfect. Let's do it.
So, when was the last time you felt bliss?
Actually, last evening when I went to the beach and I really wanted to create that space for myself, and I was literally jumping on the waves with my long shorts. I was completely wet from the sea, but I was just having so much fun with the water and the waves. It felt like I was playing catch and release with the ocean. And then I took a moment to sit and to meditate and just like enjoy the view of the sunset. And then suddenly another beautiful sign happened where 50 people who were jogging on the beach were just, I was in the middle of it. They were just like running from both sides towards me. And I was just in awe, laughing how everything was coming together. It was all so divine. And there were like 3, 4 more, synchronicities and moments where I just like in pure bliss. And I was standing there and I was just saying to the beach and to the sea, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was just divine. Yeah. It's in those small moments where we can find that bliss. It really is. It can be that simple.
Can you think of one idea that fundamentally changed your life?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that unlearning thing, what we also talked about today, of letting go of what we believed was true and kind of experiencing the world every day anew. It's something that I'm practicing myself. It's an ongoing journey, but it's something that excites me to be like, what if I look at this situation or this topic from a completely new point of view? It's something that we get to practice because oftentimes we get so caught up in what we believe is true and our own emotions and our own experience. But how can we experience every day anew and through this, like unlearn of what we believed was true? So this is a big one that I've been myself practicing a lot lately.
Amazing. And if you could choose one rule that everybody in the world needs to obey, what would it be?
I love this question. I love this question. Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Like, honestly, this is so simple, but so important. Like, what is the heart really wanting? There's a big difference between the ego and the heart. What is the heart, the core of us really, really wanting? So I think this would be definitely the rule that would change our whole life experience. I mean,
Absolutely.
just imagining how the world would look like if everyone would listen to their heart and act from their heart.
Quitting their jobs, leaving their partners,
How to change the world in one day.
getting more babies.
Yes, I mean, important topic as well. Like, what is the word that we want to leave for future generations?
Absolutely.
Very, very important.
Thank you so much, Kristina, for this conversation. I could stay here forever. And again, coming back to intuition, we had that call and I immediately knew, like, okay, we're going to talk about the podcast and that. And intuition never lies. It was like 1 second and we were so, intuition was so right to let us jump into this. Thank you so much for being here, for your wisdom. It's been a true pleasure. We have so much to learn from you. It's been such a joy
Mm,
for me to have this discussion with you. I'm really honored. And yeah,
mm.
welcome to the Soul family.
Thank you so much. That was really, really, I feel truly and deeply humbled to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me and creating that space. It's been such a profound conversation and that it gets to be shared with the world. I think those ideas are really something that gets to be spoken about. And yeah, thank you from my whole heart. I'm very grateful for this connection.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We're going to put the link to your Instagram in the show notes in case people want to reach out and be in contact with you. I will see my listeners in the next episode. And in the meantime, in Blistopia we trust.